welcome back to AustinPlus Reviews, where today we are covering Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I was very happy with this show. I absolutely loved it, and I know this is a bit late. I've been recovering from a cold or some sort of sickness, so I do apologize. This was supposed to be out a couple weeks ago, but anyway, we are here. We are reviewing Daredevil Born Again because Marvel has done it again with the recent release of the second season, bringing in the tone of darkness and realism that we've all been wishing for back, and boy did it deliver. And so let's examine why this was such a glorious sequel season. So same criteria as always. Let's start off with the best characters. First of all, it's so obvious. Daredevil, obviously, that's the no-brainer. That religion, ideology, and then that crime and wanting to serve justice really do collide this season, and that mental strain, and you can see them the angel and the devil on your shoulder trying to fight, and I think that's such a good. Obviously, Daredevil is the bad side, Matt Murdock is the good side, the angel and the devil, and I think that bringing religion into this is an amazing idea. And it's for a vigilante like his character arc really does truly highlight one of the best ideas of vigilantism. I think that's how you say it. He demonstrates a renewed tactical brilliance and an ability to use his heightened senses to maneuver through basically anything. I cannot understand how his moves are insane. And obviously while I'm watching this, I'm also watching the original show, and I've watched it before, but watching it now, and then you see how he's learned. I still do not know how you can get through some of that. I think it's amazing. Yeah, there's going to be a few voice cracks in this video. I do apologize. I'm sorry. That's going to happen. But I think the way he maneuvers, in his abilities is amazing, but it also shows how lethal he is. The next character I want to talk about is Karen Page. She was the emotional backbone of the entire show. Karen goes through so many changes, from the survivor to a very formidable investigative journalist who will basically expose the corruption of the city that she's in, New York, and her courage to hold her own against some of the most formidable characters in the underworld showcases her resilience and intellectual powers, making her an invaluable asset to the legal team that he is. Bullseye, Karen Page, BB, Daredevil. I don't know if there's any more. Bullseye kind of was like a late comer. Jessica Jones, we'll go with her as well. Now, she didn't have a big character arc, but I want to point out that her character arc in this show was very necessary. It was so dark. It was so... And it's not a direct scene, but there's a scene that makes me think she's becoming the new version of a certain character, which I'll get on into a little bit. But you can see that darker side is really coming, getting over her, like it did with another certain character. But also her nice, familiar, and kind-hearted side is basically just gone, packed up bags and gone. The next character I really want to talk about, and I loved his character, I'd argue he was the best character development in the entire show, and it was Kingpin. As always, Wilson Fisk is the ideal of evil, delivered with such sophistication and diplomacy and raw, explosive brutality. That final, finale scene. Now, recently, I'm gonna get a bit personal here. Every time I'm watching something or watching a show and someone gets hurt, I have that certain, it's like, oh, what if that was me? That thought, and obviously that riot at the very end of the show, it made my skin crawl, because that's how I felt. And it's also the same with the Mortal Kombat film. Imagine that. Even talking about it now makes me cringe. But I don't know why my brain's doing that recently, but... Yeah, in this season, especially in that final moment of going through the halls, great versions of Daredevil's the evil one, and then Kingpin is the White Knight, and I think that comparison, and they did that so clearly, and I love them for it. But the idea of brutality is Kingpin, and no one can tell me otherwise. In this season, he displays his brilliant strategy as he tries to restore his empire in the name of the public interest. and he's painting a picture of power and manipulation that is just so unsettlingly realistic. It can happen. That's why I think this Daredevil show and any other grounded things is so good, because it presents realism and all of them can be seen as real life. This can happen, and I think that's the most dangerous part, and the thing that makes people so invested in these is because this can be real. You can learn something from this. Maybe not Jessica Jones and maybe throwing tables at people, but you get the point. And actually, conveniently, the next character I want to talk about is Jessica Jones. Now, I would think Jessica Jones is she's a very cynical character in this brief scene that we see of her, yet refreshing to take on this season, because she brings a very sharp contrast to Matt Murdock's idealism and her noir-inspired, detective work that we see in Jessica Jones the show. Her unwillingness to get embroiled in the main mystery brings a slice of, dry humor. She does bring something to the equation, but not a lot. And I think that's for a good reason, is because this is, at the end of the day, Daredevil show, but they are basically trying to plant seeds for next season. And she is one of the most interesting and probably discreet, enhanced characters in New York, and I think they show that to such a low level, and I think it's good. Now, the last character I want to talk about is a newcomer from last season, but I think his character arc, as much as it ended, I really loved him. And I know I'm not the only one that says that, and it's Daniel Blake. He's such a moral figure who stands in the contrast of entrenched systems, of how power and whose unwavering faith is just refreshing change. He can see the idea on both sides, but he doesn't know who to choose. And that is so realistic, it's unbelievable. His complex motivations and how he makes other characters, both good and evil, question their methods make him a very central figure to me. And that pushes the season's most thought-provoking ethical dilemmas. He understands that there can be things from both sides, and he is just a very he has moral and ethics, but he doesn't know when to follow them and when to not. And I think that's such a good mental contrast in a show like this. Now, on to the best moments. Now, I'm actually going to start. I wasn't going to start with this, but now that I kind of got my mentally invested in it, is Karen Page. I think she basically takes on the idea and the figure of Punisher in this show. She doesn't deliberately kill. She doesn't kill at all. But Karen Page's descent into the ruthless, idea of being Frank Castle offers a haunting glimpse at the changes that might happen next season upon a soul that is prolonged by trauma. Now, her willingness to go against something that she is used to hate makes for an interesting internal struggle, and I don't know when you're watching this, but on the same day as Daredevil Born Again, the review on my channel is also the Punisher one. I planned that for a while. So if you have watched that and you're just watching this, or vice versa, in that special presentation, you see the internal struggle. You see it, and you don't see it other than with some body language and stuff, and obviously physical tears. But you can see that there is some change going on, and I think it's she's that good side of her is chipping away, and that's the idea of being Punisher, because she wants to do the wrong thing to make a right, if you get what I mean. But Daredevil's still against killing, which makes it a bit annoying, because to be fair, I want Bullseye to return. I like him, but also you can tell she has really lost her humanity in this show. You can tell she hates everyone. And she is on a quest for justice, but her idea of getting justice and Daredevil's is very different, and I very much appreciate that. So the other one is the Bullseye's diner scene. I actually really like that. The psychological horror of basically the return from a very stripped away in this scene. He is that psycho killer a vibe. He knows what he's doing, and he calls up saying, "Oh, I think I've just seen Frank Castle at this diner," and he literally puts on a mask, has his milkshake, and goes yeet on everyone else. I think that's so such a good psychological horror contrast to the actual genre. Not many people will see it, but I watch a lot of movies. I have no life. That's what I thought.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Now, another one is, now this is a combination of two scenes, and it's the Vanessa's death and the boxing match. This took, I think it might have been 10 minutes long, but I think I've never had such an emotional roller coaster throughout the whole damn thing. It's kind of a visceral masterpiece and an intercut between the intense rhythmic brutality of the boxing match that was obviously Kingpin beating the ever-living shit out the other bloke, and then his tragic collapse of Wilson Fisk's whole world being shattered when he finds out his wife, unfortunately, has died or has been injured at the time and is not confirmed dead until the very next episode, when she gets a piece of glass accidentally in her head. Now, the show depicts how Kingpin's personal devastation has been met by the rings of physical and real-world destruction, and how love and violence have always been tightly intertwined for Fisk. He absolutely loves Vanessa. That couldn't be depicted any more in this show. He loves everything about Vanessa, which is sweet. Yes, I think that's very nice. However, the shocking turn that basically, I think that death created the Kingpin that we all wanted to see. And as much as I don't mind Vanessa's character, I do think it was time for her departure, because she definitely felt like a loose part. But that was by far not the case I was thinking for this season. I thought it would probably be the end of this season, good start for next season. I think they've done that perfectly, actually. However, that's that. I really enjoyed that. I do want to see maybe the actor come back in some flashbacks, but don't overdo it with the flashbacks is all I'm saying. Now this really messed my mind up. And it was the therapist becoming Muse at the very end of the show. The shocking turn that this season has is when it subverts the damsel in distress plot with Muse's twisted Heather Glenn, because Heather Glenn was a therapist that tried to help out this person who ended up being Muse and tried taking her blood.
What? What the fuck?
The fact that she was so haunted by it, and by the way, every scene when Muse was just standing in the back like this, that gave me the creeps. I've never been so terrified in my life. However, her then becoming Muse at the very end and now is going to be a central character, antagonist in the next season, I think is mega fucked. I think it's so weird. It really does bring the idea of it's an idea I've never really got around to it mentally, and it's the abused becomes the abuser. I think that's such a twisted saying, but in this case, it is true. She has literally become the person who made her traumatized and is now going to take on that mantle. I think that is shocking, horrendous, and it's so it's even talking about it's weird, and I don't, anyway, let's move on. Now, another one, the final thing is basically, the finale. The finale was mental. The result is a payoff after payoff after payoff, starting with Kingpin's one-shot hallway rampage, then the much-awaited courtroom payoff, where the law finally exerts itself against corruption, and then, oh yeah, Daredevil reveals himself. The introduction of Luke Cage at the very end in his iconic Mariel costume, which I do believe is hints that he might become mayor next season. A dramatic change in the city's political landscape from bad to good. All of those, the anti-vigilante task force, the AVTF, yeah, they're gone. They're pissed off now. And the haunting image of the Matt Murdock behind bars is incredibly weird. Which I have something to pitch to you guys. Do you think he'll appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day? You tell me, I don't know. I would like to see Daredevil in that, because we do know the Hand's going to be in there, but we don't know. The finale was mental. The courtroom scene, I was on the edge of my seat. I do believe I was in this very chair, and I did that. I clapped my feet together. I thought it was the best finale I've ever seen of any season, and the fact that we've got another season coming is mental. Chances of a season 3, and it's something I do every review. It's obviously happening, guys. Daredevil Born Again will also return for a 3rd season. I do believe this might be the final season on Disney Plus in March of 2027. which is currently in production. This photo on screen is currently a leaked production picture, and the new episodes will take a Devil in Cell Block D based story after 1 year time jump. There will also be a big reunion for the Defenders fans as images have emerged for the return of Luke Cage, as we saw, and then Jessica Jones and the Iron Fist, who are basically going to defend New York as Matt finds himself in the midst of trouble in prison, which I do believe might be a good entrance for the Hand. Now, if my brain works correctly, it does say that Daredevil season 2 takes place before, will take place before Spider-Man Brand New Day, which makes sense. And then the chances are, and then season 3 probably will do the same thing, and then we'll get Brand New Day. So that timeline is actually starting to sound a lot better. And I'm just so excited for their team up. Please make it happen. Please make it happen. So, other reviews state, as usual, ING said a more focused story than season 1. The core characters remain compelling, with both Karen Page and Bullseye getting to set up in a big way this season. Yes, I do think they got their own setup. I don't think Karen Page has enough to make her own spin-off or anything. I don't think she should. But Bullseye, I don't know. I know there's been set leaks already, and it's confirmed that he's getting his OG suit next season, but I don't know what he's going to be doing, especially in the finale, because Charles then took him, and I think he works for the government, so Bullseye is then going to be working for the government, which was weird to me. I don't understand. But IGN, I do agree with you. I don't think Karen Page should get her own spin-off, though. Slash Film said while it builds a strong foundation, wasting nearly half of its runtime in an attempt to move subplots into place is a misstep that Born Again struggles to overcome. Huh? That shit was put together like a well-marbled granite. I give up. Now, if we're comparing this season to season 1, this was a lot better of a season than season 1, because it had a lot more to, it didn't have to lay foundation, which the first season did, because it was a new thing for Marvel. It had to lay the foundation well, but this one, it just went in ham straight away, with the Northern Star being a key thing that came back. It was such dark psychology in this show and in this season that I think it was so amazing. The violent, gritty realism of the season is something I probably will never forget, and I cannot wait for season 3. Overall, I think it's a brilliant show. It is just fantastic. And I do think if you really like Daredevil, you can watch this in order on repeat, or if you haven't watched Daredevil, watch them at the same time as you're watching it from the start. So if these come out every week, then watch the episode every week, and then go back, watch a couple of episodes, and you'll see there's a correlation. And that's what I did. I've already watched it, but that was years ago, so this is very fresh to me. So watching them at the same time, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But that's just me. So what was this season actually like? Brilliant, fantastic, the best portrayal of both characters. I simply do not care. But without further ado, folks, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah.